everyone, it's Sue Ralphie with Birdcage Craft Studio, and I'm bringing you my crafting tip from me to you, number 49, and it's all about ribbons and bespoke ribbons. Before I start, I just want to say that the weather's not particularly good here, and I can hear the rain pitter-patting against my window, so I don't know if it was going to pick up on film, so I do apologise for that. Anyway, let's get back to ribbons. As you can see, I have been playing, and my fingers will show you the truth about that. And I just thought, with Christmas coming up, or if you have any special occasions, sometimes when you're making a card or a project, you can't find the correct colour for the ribbon. So I've got out all of my white Stampin' Up! Ribbons. I've marked them all up. I've even done a sheet that I'm going to put onto my blog so that you can see sort of my findings of how inks went, you know, how well they went. And I thought we'd just go through it quickly today. So I'm going to do from the bottom of my pile here, and these are the ribbons that haven't fared so well, and then by the time I get to the top, they're the best ones in my opinion. Okay, so I did the crochet trim because I quite like that for sort of vintage type projects, and it took quite a lot for it to take the colour, and that's off an ink pad. The one in the middle is supposed to be an image. I think it might be that way up, but you can't really see it that well. And then underneath was what I call the water ink technique, which I will show you. So all in all, that hasn't worked out particularly well. And then I have the grosgrain stitched ribbon. Now, I didn't think that it took the colour particularly well. It's quite dull looking. The images haven't come out too badly, but they because it's a grosgrain ribbon and it's got stitching on it, it's very unlevel, so it didn't come out particularly smoothly. And again, it's taken the two different colours of ink, but it's not brilliant. And then we just got the normal grosgrain, and again, because it's got little ridges in it, the colour's not too bad. The stamping isn't brilliant, and it has picked up the other two colours, but it wasn't brilliant, I didn't think anyway. Then we go on to the taffeta. Now that's, to me, is getting slightly better. It's soaked up the colour off the ink pad. The image hasn't come out too badly, and as you can see, it did take the colour, but can you see it hasn't sort of melded into one colour in the middle. It's sort of stopped at one colour than the other. Then we have the organza. Now the organza is quite pretty. It's taken the colour really well, and the stamping isn't bad either, and it has picked up the colour. But when I went to go and dry it with a heat gun, it didn't like it very much, and it started to make the ribbon rivel, so you'd have to be careful that you didn't burn that. So my second favourite was a seam binding ribbon. Now this is quite nice. So again, it's taken the colour really well, it's soaked it up. Stamping's not too bad, it's not brilliant, and then you've got the colour from the wet ink, and it's sort of almost come out quite blotchy. Again, it's sort of quite good if you're doing sort of vintage type ribbons, because it will show up quite well for that, and that's quite good, and it's quick drying. And then I think the top one for me has got to be the satin ribbon, because it's taken the colour really well, very vibrant. The stamping's not bad at all, okay, and then it's picked up the wet inks. So I think that's probably going to be my favourite, the satin ribbon and the taffeta. No, well, I got it wrong now. Seam binding, the seam binding. Sorry. Then just the differences. I did this bow up very quickly to show you. Now, if you use the normal inks, I've got the Stampin' Up! Inks which are water based. They're not bad. It's not too bad at all, but I think you have to be fairly careful that they don't start to bleed out very, very slightly on the ribbon. I used Stays On ink for the sentiment there, and that's quite crisp. So again, you just have to sort of just see, you know, what you quite like. The only thing I would say with any of the ribbons, with the colour that you put on, if you get water on them, it will come off on your fingers again. So I just wanted to show you a couple of things that I did today. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to get a little bit of my taffeta ribbon, and I'm going to show you what I call the wet technique. So I'm just going to move my pad out of the way just slightly. So I'm just going to bring in a couple of ink pads, and I'm just going to show you two colours, but obviously you can just do one, that's fine. And then I'm going to bring in a slightly different colour here. So I've got green and the blue. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of water, a little drop. And then I'm just going to put the ribbon over the top, and you can see it just soaks it up straight away, which is really good. Okay, so I just keep placing the ribbon into the water, and you can always add some more water if you want to, until you soak it all up with your ribbon, like so. Okay, and you can get sort of quite nice multicoloured looks to your ribbon. Okay, and then just keep putting it through. This is a bit like tie-dyeing, so you get that sort of effect. Okay, so let's just pick up all of the ink that we can. As you can see, that's quite a nice look, and it didn't take too long at all. And the best thing with that is you can either leave it to air dry, or you can just get your heat gun out and give it a quick blast. And within no time at all it'll be dry. So you can pop this on your project, or you can make a batch of this and just leave it to dry overnight to make sure it's thoroughly dry. And if you want to, you can put an eye into it. But another thing, you can make it really wet. Spray some more water on it. Okay, just going to screw it all up just for a minute, and then just very gently leave it like that, dry it again. And try and keep it scrunched up. So if you wanted to do a sort of a vintage type look to your card, you've got this ribbon, and then you can just tie it into a nice sort of scrunched bow. So as you see, it's hardly taken any time at all for it to dry out. So there's a couple of ways you can use that with the seam binding, which is really good. So then I can go on to, this is the satin ribbon, and I think out of all of them, I think this one is the one that's stamped the best. So I'm just going to very quickly show you. When you want to do, let's say, a sentiment, like I've got my Christmas sentiment, always stamp off first, just to make sure that you've covered well on your stamp, and make sure that the stamp is at the right way round. I'm just diving under there for a scrap piece of paper, and then you just want to judge it so it's in the middle, and then press down. I'm just going to rock very slightly, and then you've got your Christmas sentiment, or whichever sentiment you want to do. And you can do that with any ink pad and any stamp that you like. So let's just get the green out again. So that one was with Stays On, and this one is with just the normal dye, the dye colour from Stampin' Up. So there we go. You can make your own bespoke ribbons. Well, I hope that's helped, and don't forget, check out my blog just for all the lists, so you can have a quick check about what I think are the best ribbons for colouring and for stamping on. Okay, see you again soon. Bye.